Squid Game captivated audiences worldwide with its brutal take on childhood games turned deadly. But if we look deeper, we can see how the main characters embody the 7 deadly sins from Christian theology. From the Judas Sang-woo all the way to the poopy pants old man, let's break down how these religious vices shine through in our favorite and most hated players of Squid Games of greed, Thanos. Greed isn't only about wanting more, it's the hunger that makes you sacrifice everything and everyone around you. In the show's 2 seasons, no one represents this deadly sin better than Thanos, the purple-haired rapper whose life spiraled out of control way before he set foot in the games. Born as Choi Soo-bong, Thanos was once a rapper who earned a decent living from his music career, roughly $350,000. But the fatal flaw of greed led him to risk it all. After following the investment advice of YouTuber Mi-nyeo, Thanos poured every dollar he had into a cryptocurrency called Dalmatian, only to watch it crash, leaving him with a staggering $800,000 debt. Thanos' greed didn't stop when he entered the games. His pursuit of money became something dangerous as he formed Team Thanos and manipulated others to maintain his survival. The crazy pills he constantly popped from his necklace weren't just helping him cope with the situation, they were also fueling his reckless actions and, in some cases, murders. His relationship with Min-soo shows just how corrupting his greed became. When Min-soo votes to stop the games, Thanos explodes with rage.
125번.
Boy, shut the fuck down. 나 원래 종교 같은 거 없거든. 근데 이 뭐랄까? 그런 기회를 얻은 느낌이랄까? 못하게 하면 너무 존나게 화가 나잖아! I'm so fucking angry, man!
Viewing it as a direct threat to his chance at reclaiming his lost fortune and changing his life. His death is the perfect showcase of his sin. In his last moments, he chokes Lee Myung-gi and screams, "It's all mine! Your money! Your girl! Your life! It's all Thanos' property now!" when he's stabbed to death with a fork by the very man whose financial advice first started his downfall.
돈도, 여자도, 네 목숨도 다 이 타노스 네 거라고! Fucking son of a 씨발놈 bitch!
In his greedy pursuit of everything, Thanos ends up with nothing left, not even his life. Pride. Oh, Il-nam. Now let's talk about the sneakiest player in the game. Yeah, none other than Mr. Poopy Pants. Pride goes beyond simple arrogance. It's the belief that you're above others and that your worth puts you beyond the rules that govern ordinary people. No character embodies this deadly sin better than the sussy old man, player 001. The man who first appears as a kind grandfather is eventually revealed as the game's creator and main VIP. A man whose pride is so crazy that it leads him to create a deadly tournament for his own amusement. Il-nam's childhood poverty didn't teach him compassion. Instead, it birthed a level of arrogance that grew with his massive wealth. Even when playing in the games himself, Il-nam's pride is on full display. He manipulates other players by playing up his vulnerability, most notably in the marbles game with Gi-hun. He wasn't showing weakness, but demonstrating the ultimate form of arrogance, believing he could control the situation even while pretending to be senile and lose.
홀짝, 홀짝. 이긴 건가?
몇 개 거셨어요?
내가 또 이겼네.
몇 개 걸었어요.
헐. 뭐라고 했지?
예?
방금 뭐라고 했냐고?
짝이요.
그럼 내가 쳤네.
Unlike the violent deaths of other players, his passing is very peaceful, on his own terms, in a hospital bed. Even in death, his pride shields him from facing the consequences of his actions. He created hell for thousands of players over the years, but meets his own death with the peace of a saint who believes they've done nothing wrong. That's the ultimate expression of pride, the inability to recognize your demons and face them. Sloth, Ali Abdul and Ji-yeong. Sloth isn't just physical laziness, it's also spiritual apathy, giving up on yourself, and letting life pass by without fighting for it. In Squid Game, this deadly sin is uniquely split between 2 characters, each representing different aspects of Sloth, Ali Abdul and Ji-yeong. Ali shows Sloth not through laziness, since he's physically strong and morally upright, but through his failure to fight for his survival. Despite his physical abilities, he places blind trust in Sang-woo during the marbles game, handing over his marbles without question.
우리 둘 다 같이 나갈 수 있어. 네 손으로. 그건 게임 상대가 누구냐에 따라 달라. 일단 어떤 팀이 남게 될지 그것부터 알아야 돼. 그 주머니 그렇게 들고 다니면 위험해. 다들 막판에 미친놈들처럼 변할 텐데 무슨 일이 벌어질지 몰라. 내가 가지고 다니게 안전하게 해줄게.
His fatal flaw isn't being too trusting, it's his unwillingness to take control of his fate and his tendency to rely on others instead. Ji-yeong represents a deeper, more existential form of Sloth. Having lost her family and spent time in prison for killing her abusive father, she enters the games not with the hope of survival, but because she has nothing else to live for. Her most defining moment comes during the marbles game, when she sacrifices herself to let Se-byuk live.
너 뭐 하는 거야? 내가 졌네. 너 뭐 하는 짓이냐고.
240번 탈락.
Not just out of kindness, but because she has already given up on her own life, while Se-byuk hasn't, and has things to live for. Her smile as she faces death is both beautiful and heartbreaking, because it reveals her complete surrender and unwillingness to find her meaning and purpose. Together, these two characters show us different faces of the same sin, the abandonment of self-reliance and determination, either through excessive reliance on others or giving up on life itself. Envy. Han Mi-nyeo. Envy is the gnawing feeling of wanting what others have, not just their possessions, but their power, respect, and sense of belonging. Han Mi-nyeo is the walking embodiment of this sin. From the moment she enters the game, she's desperate to be seen, to matter, to possess what others have naturally. Unlike other players who form genuine connections, she latches onto Deok-su not out of true affection, but because she envies his authority and control over others. She doesn't want love, she just wants to stand in his shadow and feel some of his power by association. Her envy shapes and molds every interaction she has with others. She boasts about non-existent connections to compensate for her deep and gnawing insecurities. She flirts aggressively to gain protection because she can't protect herself. She threatens and manipulates to secure alliances because she has no natural charm like Gi-hun and the others. But beneath it is the burning desire to have what she believes others got naturally: importance. Mi-nyeo's breaking point comes when Deok-su betrays her, throwing her to the side when she no longer serves his purposes.
아니지. 지금 장난하는 거지?
사람 넘치잖아.
내가 미안해. 내가 더 잘할게. 오빠 나 뭐든지 시켜만 줘. 나 다 잘해. 알잖아 오빠도.
그러니까
나 없이 정말 괜찮아? 나는
씨발 더럽게 질척거리네 진짜. 어따 대고 자꾸 오빠 오빠야. 어? 한 번만 더 오빠라고 짓거리면 그 아가리 찢어버린다.
The pain of rejection turns her envy into something very deadly. In her final act on the glass bridge, she doesn't just take revenge. She makes sure that if she can't have what Deok-su has, survival, power, and success, then he can't have it either. Her final words show the ultimate expression of envy.
나 한민여야. 여기서 너 같은 족밥 새끼처럼 병신같이 서 있다가 나 배신하면 죽는다고 했지.
The desire to pull down those who have what you want. But if you thought envy was intense, wait until you meet our next walking disaster. Wrath. Jang Deok-su. Wrath isn't only the feeling of anger. It's a deep rage that consumes reason, kindness, and trust. In Squid Game, Jang Deok-su is wrath personified, since he's a machine of violence and intimidation to his very core. Even before entering the games, Deok-su lived by violence as a gangster, using brutal attacks to maintain control even against his friends. But the games removed what little restraint society. Together, these two characters show us different faces of the same sin. His approach to survival never involves cooperation or strategy out of charm, only dominance through fear. He quickly forms a gang of followers not through leadership, but intimidation. In one of the most dramatic scenes, he starts a nighttime riot that leads to 27 deaths, revealing the way his wrath extends beyond those who oppose him to anyone unfortunate enough to be in his path. His wrath blinds him to personal connections and makes him see enemies everywhere. He betrays Mi-nyeo not because it serves his survival, but because his anger leaves no room for genuine connection with others. Even his final moments on the glass bridge show his wrath. He fights against Mi-nyeo's grip, unable to accept that someone he deemed beneath him could determine his fate and end his life. Deok-su's death is fitting. He isn't defeated by a stronger or more intimidating opponent, but instead by someone whose own deadly sin, envy, matches his wrath and intensity. The poetic nature of his end reminds us that wrath may provide temporary power, but it ultimately creates the blueprint for your own destruction. Lust. Cho Sang-woo, player 218. Lust isn't just about attraction. It's any desire so intense it blinds you to consequences. In Squid Game, the brilliant but desperate Cho Sang-woo embodies this sin through his all-consuming lust for success and status. Before the games, Sang-woo was the golden boy of his hometown, the kid who made it to Seoul National University and became a major investment banker. But his lust for success wasn't satisfied with just making it above his peers. He needed more, and more. This unquenchable desire drove him to embezzle clients' money for investments that later failed, turning the neighborhood hero into a wanted criminal overnight. What makes Sang-woo's lust so crazy is how it escalates throughout the games. At first, it appears as intelligence and strategy, but as the stakes rise, his mask slips. In the Honeycomb game, His lust for survival makes him hide crucial information that could save others. During the marbles game, it drives him to abuse Allie's trust in the most heartbreaking betrayal of the whole show. By the time he cold-bloodedly kills and injured Se-byuk, his lust for victory has consumed any remaining humanity, and he's ready to be the only winner. Unlike sexual lust, which might be momentarily satisfied, Sang-woo's lust for success is insatiable. Each victory only intensifies his hunger for the next one. Even as players around him form genuine connections, he can't see past his obsessive desire to win at any cost and use people as pawns. It's only when defeat becomes clear in his fight against Gi-hun that Sang-woo takes his own life, his final request asking Gi-hun to help his mother, which shows us beneath his all-consuming lust was a flicker of the person he once was, loving his mother and trying to right his wrongs.
미안해.
우리 엄마.
Sang-woo's journey shows us that lust in any form, when left unchecked, eventually consumes everything else, making a monster of the man. Gluttony, Seong Gi-hun. Last but definitely not least, we've got our main man, G-Money himself. Gluttony extends beyond just eating food. It's the compulsive overconsumption of anything, the inability to stop when enough is enough. For Gi-hun, this deadly sin manifests through his gambling addiction and impulsive behavior throughout the show. Before the games, Gi-hun's life was defined by his inability to stop. He can't stop betting even when he's down to his last dollar. He can't stop chasing the next win, even when it means stealing his mother's money. While Sang-woo was chasing success, Gi-hun was chasing cheap highs. He even takes his daughter's birthday money for gambling, only getting her something later as an afterthought. His gluttony isn't for food, but for the thrill of the bet, the momentary high of winning that's never enough. What makes Gi-hun's gluttony super tragic is that it's connected to deeper wounds. His regrets about failing as a father, guilt about his treatment of his mother, and feelings of being trapped. He lives on the possibility of a quick fix through gambling, believing that one big win could solve everything. This is the whole reason he entered the games and decided to go back later. But Gi-hun's story offers something the other deadly sins don't, the possibility of redemption. When he eventually wins the game, he discovers that victory doesn't fill the emptiness his gluttony tried to satisfy. It's only when he begins to help others, like Se-byuk's brother, that he finds something his gluttonous consumption of betting never provided: purpose. So that's been the 7 deadly sins as Squid Game characters. Do you agree with our choices? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see more Squid Game content and theories, click the video on screen now.